All right, you have made it to Module 9, File Saving and Naming. This is kind of an important one and probably should have been closer to Module 1, but we're going to go with it as Module 9. So on this one, there's some things that we might not be able to go to because I don't know how to explain this without actually doing it. So on your test, if this comes up, we'll just talk a little bit about it. You won't necessarily have to be in charge of that, okay? You won't have to know about it, but let me kind of explain a little bit. So demonstrate how to access save and save as options. So I'm up here in my Word toolbar. Under File, you have Save and Save As. Save if it's the very first time you're saving it. And in this case, I'm in a document 1. I've never saved this document before. So it's just got the default name. When I click Save for this document, it's going to ask me, it's going to take the first couple words of the document and tag that, but I might just say Mod 9 Saving. That might be what I'm going to call it. And I want it to be saved on my desktop, and I want it as a Word document. So then I'm going to click Save, and you'll see what happens up here. It changes to what I titled it. Now, when I click the Save button, or when I come over here to click Save, or when I do my Command S to save, it's always going to keep this name, and it's always going to save in the place that I opened it from. So I put it on the desktop, so it's going to save to the desktop. Let's say I make some changes to this, and I'm going to delete those 2 paragraphs. It's no longer this document. I want to save it as something different. Now I come up to my file, Save As. Save As is going to allow me to change the name and change where I save it to. Well, I'm going to keep this the same for this document and just say Edited. And I'm going to click Save. Now on my desktop, I have the 2 documents. So if I minimize this, sorry, I'm going to minimize some things. Now I have this one, Mod 9 Saving, and Mod 9 Saving with the edited on it. Oops, come back up to my Word document. So those are the differences. When you very first open a document, click Save. That's the perfect thing to do. You get to tell the document where you want it to save, and you get to title it. Anytime after that, click Save As. Get in the habit of knowing where your documents are being saved and things like that. Now demonstrate how to save a Word document to the H drive, the hard drive. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and say File Save As, because again, if I say save, the window's not going to pop up. It's just automatically going to save it right to the desktop. Demonstrate how to save it to a drive. Well, under this where it says Where, we can pick where we want it to go. Many times when I ask a student, well, where did you save it? I saved it in Word. No, Word is the application that you use. It saves somewhere completely different. Generally, it'll either save in Documents, or unless you tell it to, save on your desktop. But most of the time, it'll be in your Documents file if you forget. Okay, so this is why I say get in the habit of going to do a Save As, because then you get to see exactly where it's going. Right here, desktop. Oh, okay, I know it's going to my desktop. Explain where to look to determine how to name a file in class. I don't really have a naming convention right now for files. Normally it's last name _ first name, but right now the way we're turning them in, if we're using Classcraft or we're using Edmodo, it'll come right through your name, so it would just be the assignment name. demonstrate how to name a file correctly. Again, that's just the naming convention. You will come up File, Save As, and this is where if I say, hey, I'd like your paper to be first name, last name, that's where you'd put it. Or, hey, I'd like your paper to be last name, first name. This is where you would put it. Hey, I'd like your assignment to be the assignment name. This is where you'd put it. If there's ever a very specific way I want you to save something, I will let you know. I generally write it on the board. And then explain the importance of never changing the file extension. If you change the file extension, this is the file extension right here. If you see where my mouse is kind of wiggling on the screen. If you ever change that, it can render your document completely useless and will not be able to be opened. So instead of you coming in and changing it, see how it's up here? You can change it this way. This way the computer will format it correctly. Lots of times people will ask for the document in a PDF because Word, Pages, Google Doc, any of those saved as a PDF will be read by any type of operating system. So it's pretty easy to open them and read them. The downside is they're not editable unless you have a PDF editor. So most of the time in our class, you just save it as a Word doc and it'll be fine. All right, that's how you do your saving and naming.